Hello and welcome to FX Street Currency in Play, coming live to you from Core Finance in London. I'm joined today by Eddie Topic, who is Head of Foreign Exchange at ADM Investor Services. How are you today, Eddie?
Pretty brilliant at the moment, nothing to complain about at the moment.
Good stuff. Well, we're over, as we said off air, over hump day, we're into Thursday and the business end of this week. Lots to talk about, certainly in the FX space. So let's have a quick look at the trends. Starting off, euro dollar off highs. And also look to euro sterling as Bank of England looms. Speaking of sterling, obviously, we've got cable there at 132, ahead of Super Thursday. And
every Thursday super, when something like this happens, all you need is more than one event. So 2 events, it's a super day. 3 events is super, and it goes on. It's a power of 5 probably by now.
Well, what are your thoughts? I mean, cable's staying around this 132 level. What do you think the MPC is going to deliver today?
My personal thoughts of what I've heard is that it's unlikely. There may be more votes for a rate hike, but nothing is going to happen at the moment. That's what seemingly is out there at the moment. Whether it happens or not, we'll know when it actually happens. Their minds, they'll make lots of things are going through in their minds. It's not just what we think, not what the city thinks, but it's also what the rest of the country needs.
And if you were sitting on the MPC, putting you on the spot, what would you vote at the moment?
I don't think anybody would like a nice present for summer with a rate hike. Maybe sort of like at the start of the year when you're sort of looking, then planning your business plans. You don't really around Christmas either. But right now, I wouldn't necessarily think it's a good idea. Understood.
And how do you think cable will react to this? I mean, we've pushed up above 130. The pound's been a little bit stronger of late, 11, 12-month highs. How do you think that will react to a dovish or hawkish statement?
I think probably obviously with the lineup of the market gradually moving up. And it's not just that, it's been also a weakness in the dollar overall. So you can't just look at it on its own. But in the time that we've seen it, there'll be some likelihood, some profit taking, so people take some money off the table. But the trend is still looking for a stronger sterling. And that's against the euro. I think it's just going sideways. So you look towards a euro as a guide as well as what's going on in sterling itself. So a little bit of a pullback, but then if the euro carries on stronger, then it will drag sterling along with it.
Understood. Now you've brought along a few slides today. Let's have a quick look. Starting off with it's been an active currency pair, Aussie dollar.
I spoke about this a few days ago here, and it was specifically, I pointed out that there looked like a spike top there a few days ago. I think it was last week actually, on the Aussie, and I thought this is something to watch. And then we had the market move down. It settled a little bit. Then it tried up again on the Tuesday, and it's come back off since. And you've had 2, basically, not necessarily key reversals down, though I've marked them just for my aide memoir up there, but more sort of like bearish engulfing patterns where you've seen the thing try higher, fail. The second try higher was lower, and we're now lower than we have really been since the early part of last week. So consequently, I think we might see a move back down, initially 78 3/4, possibly down to about 78, 15, 17 area, which is where the nearby 50% fib is. If it then gets some fresh ammunition, we see it move higher, fine, perfect. That's the continuation of the trend. All the moving averages, you've got 2 golden crosses where moving averages have moved one over the other, both moving higher. So that's continuing the longer term trend. But right now it looks likely as if we may have a move back down.
And is this Aussie weakness or some strength coming back to the dollar?
I think if you look at it, it's also the fact of metals and oil, both of which have been weaker, coming off of massive highs, as have the Aussie dollar. And that's probably the reason why.
Understood. Moving on, euro dollar, onwards and upwards. Can this continue?
Well, it's very, very interesting. 118.73, which I've left up there. That's a 50% Fibonacci level of the whole of 2016. We haven't had a close above that yet. We've just tested it. We went above it, closed below it. We need to have at least 2 consecutive closes above that to continue what is effectively a nice little trend. If that wasn't there, I'd say this nice little trend, this Andrew's picture, what we've had from March, April. You've drawn this in March, April. If you'd have bought it and sold it within those levels, you would have made a lot of money because it's just going gradually within that sort of channel pattern. We haven't broken above it. We're testing towards the top of it, but at the same time we're testing this key resistance level at 118.73.
And if we move into, let's say, September, where we see a Fed hike, Where will that put the euro dollar, do you think?
Well, I think you're going to see first off a move down. If it happened today, I'd see a move down to the middle time there, which is around about the 117.25 area. Mm-hmm. And then that's also coincident at the moment with the August 2015 high, which I've marked on there. Mm-hmm. If it then carries on, if we were still at these levels, then you'd see a reasonable move down to about 115.15, which is a 50% fib of the whole recent move. That'll be just a pullback. Mm-hmm. But it still means the market is still bullish at the moment. It's still looking towards higher. Everything, all its lagging indicators, all of them are looking to go higher at the moment. It hasn't changed yet.
Good stuff. And moving on, cable is going to be in play today. We've already talked about the MPC. Yeah,
and here we have another one, which is the key 50% fib, and that's at 132.33. We've had one test above it. Today we are above it at the last time when I printed this chart. But we're really just sort of like edging over. It's like watching a cat just gradually sort of moving towards something because they're not too sure about it. It's just testing. Do we actually move above that? I'm not necessarily
Is the cat going to pounce, though? That's the key.
The cat is really scared.
Yeah.
Because if this goes wrong, if this is just a dummy or if it's a real sleeping dog, then if it's a dummy, that's fine. They can go for the food. But if it's a real sleeping dog and you wake it up, then the thing's going to come back at you.
Understood. Got a lot to give back potentially. Yeah. And finally, Bitcoin been very active this week. There's a story behind this as well. There's a split in Bitcoin, the cash, and a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads about what that actually means. Now, how's that feed through to
That's
volatility?
come through in this market. You've seen one high back in June and the market pulled back and we saw a lot of support. You can see around about 1900, 2000, there is a lot of support in that area. Since then, we've tried one more time higher, failed, come back to effectively the first level of support, which is 24.15, which is the 50% Fibonacci level, and then we've tried higher and failed yet again. And we have a bearish engulfing. In fact, we have a key reversal proper on this one. So therefore, it looks as if we can't make up our mind. We are trying higher. This is the third attempt higher, and we're not doing it, but it's not really going down either. And it's an emphasis of what's going on in other things in the market itself. They're looking at the situation and going, okay, what's the fork going to do? Arguments, backwards, forwards. You know, everybody's getting very precious about it. And so consequently, in this particular moment, it's interesting to watch, but I'm curious whether you should actually get involved.
Is there a trade to be had here? I mean, there's always buy, sell, or do nothing. They're the three options.
If there was options on this one, actually, I'd rather do something like that. Sell maybe some options, but 29.78 is resistance, 24.15 is a support. Unless you get consecutive moves, two closes above that, above or below those levels, we're staying within that until we get this fork sorted out.
Understood. And finally, let's have a look at the calendar. We've already mentioned the MPC, this Super Thursday. MPC,
the old lady is very busy today.
We've got vote hike on there. I doubt they'll hike. I mean, it's hike or do nothing. But also looking at the US as well, the PMI numbers could be quite interesting today, certainly for dollar.
So far, they seem to sort of show what's been going as a positive thing for the market. We've seen the Dow going over the 22,000 level.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's the first time, but every time I think of that, I think of 30 years ago when the all-time high for the Dow, S&P, and then nascent NASDAQ as it was then. And then October happened. Well, actually, September happened is when it all started kicking in. So I'm just holding off things until I see what happens in September this year.
Yeah, it was a drop of about 30-40% over the course of that month.
I think the first 2 weeks was 25% or something like that.
Incredible. So,
and I just remember this is the end of an industry, possibly. I don't know what's going on here. You know, do we have and literally people sleeping by their desks for a period of about 2 weeks, you know, coming in Monday, leaving Friday, and then just literally just staying by their desk, trying to work things out, trying to catch up most of the time.
So traders, maybe take your holiday while you can, because September, October, things could get very interesting potentially.
It always gets interesting because traditionally September is the worst month of the year, which leads into October. And there's nothing out there at the moment. I mentioned to you off camera this situation in Italy with the Libyans, which I've suddenly found about it today, and I was like, why would a general in Libya threaten to shoot at Italian warships who are coming to help? But it's out there. So, you know, that could be the thing that starts it.
That could be a catalyst at some point.
Or it could be something that just adds it all on to more of it.
Understood. Look, lots to look out for. Enjoy the MPC today at 12 o'clock. I'm sure you will, traders. Thank you very much for joining us today, Eddie, on Currency Talk with FX Street.